Good morning, America. Welcome to Channel 206 ESPN News.
Today we'll be discussing unionization in 19th century America. We'll be looking at how unionization has affected the course of America's history. But to start out, we have Keith to give us a little background on this topic.
Thanks, Henry. That's right. Before industrialization and unionization, manufacturing was often done in people's homes, using hand tools or basic machines. Thus, pre-industrial society was extremely slow. Additionally, the Industrial Revolution began in England and was slow to move to the U.S. America thus lagged far behind other countries, especially Britain, that were more industrialized in parts because of the abundance of land and scarcity of labor in the New World, reduced interest in expensive investments in machine production. Industrialization marked a shift from this to power, special purpose machinery, factories, and mass production. Jim can actually tell us more about how industrialization helped lead to unionizations, as well as other key developments in the move towards unionization. Jim, over to you.
Thanks, Keith. Wow, life before industrialization sure was slow. Not only did industrialization mark the shift to the use of powered machines, but the Industrial Revolution also helped lead towards unionization in America as more and more factories began to spring up around the country. The workers in these factories often toiled in terrible conditions in factories that were unsanitary, unlit, and unventilated. To make things even worse, the wages were meager and the workdays were extremely long. Unionization began here as workers went on strikes to demand better conditions, higher wages, a 10-hour workday, and sometimes even the right to smoke on the job. Unfortunately, no real labor unions could be formed this early in the 19th century as they were still seen as illegal criminal conspiracies along with strikes. When we come back from a quick commercial break, we'll take a look at a very important case that changed the illegal status of labor unions.
Hello, my name is Amelia, and you'll hear from me soon. This is just a PSA. I would like each and every one of you to come join me and other girls who worked for the Lowell textile mill to join the Lowell Female Labor Reform Association so we can fight for better wages and lower hours. See ya!
Hello, I'm Joanne.
I'm Susan.
Do you or someone you love need a new lunchbox?
These lunchboxes were made by children workers that work in the Lowell textile mills.
Call the number on your screen, 908-123-4567, today to buy your new, beautiful lunchbox.
Buy one and get the chance for a second one free.
Call today. Goodbye.
Hello, we are representatives from the union created at Robert and Longo's tailor store.
At Robert and Longo's tailor store, we do not use child workers. This is a very premium shirt. Expensive material, cheap cost. Buttons are great, doesn't rip, great color.
And when you buy one of these wonderful shirts, it comes with a free American tie. Come support your country today.
Welcome back! As mentioned, labor unions were very hard to form in the 1830s and 1840s because they were illegal. This all changed, however, with the case of Commonwealth versus Hunt, in which Massachusetts ruled that labor unions were not unlawful. To be clear, this case did not legalize labor strikes, but it definitely helped with the development of labor unions. For instance, the first labor union, the National Labor Union, founded by William Silvis. It was made up of many trade unions with skilled workers, unskilled workers, and farmers. It tried to persuade Congress to cut the workday to 8 hours, but failed to do so. Still, it brought more awareness to labor issues and increased public support for labor reform in the future. Next, we will go to Josh, who will tell us more about key individuals that influenced unionization, including William Silvis, through interviews.
Thanks, Jim. That was very interesting. Unionization would not have been possible without the work of great individuals. Today, we will be hearing from three key individuals: Samuel Slater, a mill girl named Amelia, and William Silvis, whom Jim briefly mentioned. Let's give a warm welcome to Samuel Slater.
Thanks for having me on your show, I guess.
Okay, Samuel. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, I was born in Derbyshire, England on June 9, 1768. I was the son of a farmer, so I began to work at an early age as a trainee for the owner of a cotton mill. Eventually, I rose to the power of a superintendent, and I became very familiar with the mill machines designed by Richard Arkwright, a genius whose other advances included using water power to drive his machines and dividing labor amongst groups of workers. In 1789, I immigrated to the United States in order to achieve my dream of making a fortune off of textile, despite British law forbidding it. I eventually arrived in New York.
Wow, Samuel, that was very interesting. Now tell us, how did you treat your workers, Samuel?
Well, it's true that my mills often use child workers, but hey, I provided for them. They were making money.
Okay, well, that's all for Samuel. The exploitation of these children helped lead to unionization as laborers began striking to fight for better conditions, higher wages, shorter days, and education for their children. Next, we will be joined by a young woman named Amelia, a former worker in the mills.
Thanks for having me, Josh. ESPN is my favorite TV channel. Let's go.
Tell us a little about your experiences as a female child worker and how this affected unionization.
Well, us mill girls had to work for 13 hours earning very meager wages. The work was strenuous and tiring, but somehow us girls managed it all. Until in 1834 when our bosses cut our wages. This really pushed us to the edge.
How could you ever overcome this?
Well, we marched to several mills to encourage other girls to join us in our protest. We also organized the Lowell Female Labor Reform Association to press for reducing the workday to 10 hours, and huge petition campaigns asking the Massachusetts state legislature to cap the workday in the mills at 10 hours.
Wow, Amelia, what an interesting woman you are. What an inspiration to other people all around the world.
Thank you, and thanks for having me on your show.
Next up, William Silvis, the founder of the National Labor Union.
Thanks for having me, Josh.
So tell us a little about the National Labor Union.
I felt that workers had to unite to fight for lower wages, to reform society, and to fix the economy. I felt that unions should be national, not just local. So I organized the National Labor Union, which was the first nationwide labor organization.
What did your organization do specifically for unionization?
Well, we supported banning prison labor, land reform laws, and national currency reform. We also introduced a per capita tax to raise money for labor strikes, issued union cards, and encouraged workers' cooperatives. Finally, we tried to persuade Congress to lower the working day to 8 hours. Even though these efforts were never fruitful, they still brought more awareness to labor issues and garnered more support for unionization.
Well, thanks for coming, William. Now we go to Henry, who will be able to shed some light on how these individuals and developments affected unionization for better or worse.
I hate to break it to you, but unionization wasn't all that cracked up to be. Although it did improve labor standards, adding higher wages, better conditions, and increased workers' rights, it also severely hurt the people outside of the union groups. There were often violent riots that resulted in the deaths of many. Union leaders were persecuted. Militia and other federal military groups were sent in to quell riots, and many properties were set on fire. As a result of the new labor rights, companies became less inclined to hire local workers for the fear of a union. They turned to hire immigrants who were more grateful for the jobs. As a result of this, local jobs disappeared. Problems like this persist until 2018. Unionization is still a debated over topic. While we must keep in mind all the good it's done, we must also remember the unintentional side effects.
Thanks for tuning in. Good night from
ESPN!
Next up, ESPN News at 11.
Stay warm out there. We should be expecting 8 inches of snow. Good morning, America. Welcome to Channel 206 ESPN News.
Today we'll be discussing unionization in the 19th century America. We'll be looking for
Don't touch me, Henry.
Not touching.
Oh my god.
They fight.
I kind of started it, but
Hello. We are representatives from the union at Robert and Longo's Tailor Store.
At Robert and Longo's Oh my.